Hello everyone. Good morning. Hello, my name's Teacher Matthew and we are live on YouTube for the very first time. Thank you for joining me if you're here. And today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 5 different phrases that use the word spring. So I hope everyone will find these phrases really useful. And if you want to, you can try to make some sentences in the comments below. Making comments in the comments below will help you to basically get used to using the phrases, but also practice a little bit. I can also give you some feedback as well. And if you haven't done so already, what you can try to do is you can also subscribe as well to the channel. Okay? So let's get into today's video. And we're going to talk about these phrases now, okay? So here is the first phrase. This is the first phrase, spring into action. Spring into action. And if you spring into action, then it means you suddenly start doing something, okay? You suddenly start doing something. Notice the picture of the spring, like in the bed. Imagine if you are sitting on the spring and then you go bing! And then you can imagine how sudden, how quick this is, okay? So spring into action, to start doing something. To suddenly start doing something, I should say. So for example, we can say, as soon as the exam date was confirmed, she sprung into action and started to revise. As soon as the exam date was confirmed, she sprung into action and started to revise. Write down your comment or write down your example sentence in the comments below, and I'll be able to correct you later. By the way, this is the first time I'm streaming live, so thank you so much if you've joined me. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. As soon as you subscribe to this video, you can spring into action and start learning English with me. Okay? So this is a really, really good phrase for you, especially if you want to describe something and you want to describe an action that you do almost immediately. Let's talk about the second phrase, okay? Look at the picture. Imagine how that person is feeling right now. You see the weather, the environment, and his hands are out really wide, his feet are out wide, he's jumping in the air. I think his feeling is very good, right? He's a very happy, cheerful person. He's very enthusiastic. And I think this picture is a great way to describe this next phrase, a spring in one's step, okay? Because if you have a spring in your step, then it means you are really cheerful and you have a really positive mood. And also, it can describe someone who is really enthusiastic, okay? So, for example, I know this person, Priya, is my friend. There is a spring in Priya's step when I start a live stream. There's a spring in Priya's step when I start a live stream. There's a spring in my step when Tottenham win a football game, like yesterday. We beat Aston Villa 4-0. And we're now in the top 4 of the Premier Division, so that's really good. There is a spring in my step. When I got out of bed this morning, I almost jumped up in the air because my step from my feet, because step is when you walk, and you can imagine if somebody is walking and they're walking very like this, it's like a happy mood, right? So there is a spring in my step whenever Tottenham win. There's a spring in the teacher's step when their students get high marks. There's a spring in the student's step when they get 100% in their exam. Make sure you put your comments, by the way, in the comments below. And practice using this phrase, okay? So that's a spring in someone's step. The next phrase is to spring to mind, okay? If something springs to mind, then that means, oh, hi, Priya. If something, I was just talking about you. If something springs to mind, then you suddenly think of something. What is the first thing that springs to mind when you think about spring? So you can see my picture of the brain and the spring, right? So the brain is being sprung, like in the first picture, right? So if something springs to mind, then you suddenly think of something. What's the first thing that springs to mind when you think about spring? I think the first thing that springs to my mind is the flowers blooming. I think the first thing that springs to mind when I think about spring is the animals waking up. What's the first thing that springs to mind when you think about winter? Well, the first thing that springs to my mind when I think about winter is the cold weather, the snowy weather. Very cold. What's the first thing that springs to your mind when you think of spring? What's the first thing that springs to your mind when you think of winter? Leave them in the comments below. I'm interested to know what you think. Like I said, as maybe most of you will be watching the replay, so I hope that you'll be able to leave some good comments for me to see. The next one is spring something on someone, okay? And if you spring something on someone, then it means you surprise them. Okay, you give them a surprise party, for example. That's one way to spring something on someone. Someone didn't expect something, and then suddenly it's here on my days, right? What are you going to spring on your friend? What are you going to spring on your parents? So they are going to spring a surprise on their colleague. They're going to spring a surprise on their colleague. Wow! What surprise are they going to spring on their colleague? I don't know. They're going to spring a surprise party on their colleague. What surprise would you like to be sprung on you? Would you like me to spring a surprise on you? Let me know in the comments below. Or alternatively, you can try to use this phrase here in a sentence in the comments as well. So thanks so much, by the way, if you've just joined me here today. Spring a surprise on someone. So they're going to spring a surprise party on their colleague. I'm going to spring a surprise on my mother later. I'm going to buy her a gift and she doesn't even know it. It's not even her birthday. It's not even Mother's Day, and it's not even Christmas. Okay, the next one. Maybe my picture is slightly in the way of this, so I'm sorry about that because my picture is slightly in the way. And you can see the person above. The person above, it says here, to spring to someone's defense. Okay, to spring to someone's defense. If you spring to someone's defense, it means you begin to defend someone, maybe from a verbal or even a physical attack, okay? Thankfully, a group of people in the bar sprang to her defense when the man started assaulting her. If you assault someone, it means you injure them or you try to hurt them, okay? If somebody punches you and kicks you, then I would say they are assaulting you. If somebody was assaulting you, will your friends spring to your defense? I hope they will spring to my defense because they're my friends. So yeah, so if you spring to someone's defense, it means you begin to defend someone from a verbal or physical attack. Make your sentence in the comments below. After she was bullied in school on one day, her mother sprang to her defense the next day and shouted at the bullies. Okay, very good. Very good. By the way, if you have any other questions as well below, just let me know. But anyway, these were the 5 spring phrases I wanted to teach you today. The first one is to spring into action. And if you spring into action, then you start suddenly doing something. That was the first one. A spring in one step. That means you have a cheerful and positive mood. You're enthusiastic, just like the guy in the picture. If something springs to mind, then you suddenly think of something. Almost like the spring, you notice that with the spring, there's like a quick action to it. Suddenly start doing something, spring into action. Spring to mind, suddenly think of something. A spring in one step. You can imagine the person walking with the springs on their feet. Hey, I'm walking very happily. And then we've got this one, spring a surprise on somebody. It's a good one. As well, if you want to discuss or explain and describe when you surprise somebody with something. And then the last one, spring to someone's defense. Again, spring is like a quick action. You spring to their defense and you help them. So anyway, I hope this was really helpful for you. I will try to do more YouTube live streams in the future, but at the moment this is just in the beginning. So I hope you've all enjoyed it, and I'll try to do a live stream at least once a week on YouTube. Maybe even more than that if you wish. Leave the comments below, by the way. And if you haven't already and you enjoyed yourself, make sure you like and subscribe as well. And if you want to catch me on more live stream, then make sure you go to HelloTalk. HelloTalk is a language learning application that you can download from Google Play Store or the iOS App Store, any app store actually. You can join there and you can learn English with other people. You can speak to native people. You can message them. Also, I do live streaming there, so make sure you catch me there. I'm Teacher Matthew on the HelloTalk app. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something new. I hope you learned 5 new phrases today. It was a real pleasure to speak to you. And until the next video, thank you so much, okay? See you later. Goodbye.